senior management, by your customers, then basically the next logical thing that you have to work on is to do a pilot, is to pilot Agile on one of the teams. Identify a smaller team to start with, a team that is ready to experiment, a team that is ready to understand that there could be a lot of things that are in the fragile manner, a lot of things that are not very clearly defined, a lot of things not mapped to the organization's environment. So there could be a lot of things in hazy state. So make sure that you identify team members who are ready to work in this kind of environment. You need to provide all the required training, tools, and support to these teams. It is very important that the teams actually get trained on Agile, they understand what is Agile, and they follow it in a true sense. They would need some tools, so you'll have to make sure that you are making those tools available to those team members. And we need to provide a constant support to the team, so that if they are struggling with the initial adoption, if they want any changes to happen, then the management is always available to help them. The next thing is we need to ensure that the team understands the methodology and is following it correctly. So there could be various things that can be done to understand the methodology. We'll touch base on that as we go forward. And we also need to help the team to understand the rationale behind some of the recommendations. So like not only it's important to understand how to follow Scrum, but it is also important to understand what is Agile Manifesto, what are the Agile principles because of which this manifesto came into place. So it is important to understand the rationale and follow it in a proper manner. We also need to review the feedback from the team periodically. Okay, we have started implementation, but how is it going? Is it working? Are we struggling? Can we make any changes to make it work? And then we need to take the appropriate steps so that we make it happen. The next phase, when your Agile pilot is successful, the next thing that you would like to do is to identify a rollout plan, an Agile rollout strategy for any organization. And any organization that wants to go for Agile should definitely make sure that a very concrete plan is identified and then put into action. So the first logical thing would be to conduct a training for the team. So some of the things that you can think of doing is have a book club, have some of the books on Agile where different team members read those books and then they come with their thoughts, what they have understood from those chapters, and they share it with their team. And the team can actually have a brainstorming on that. They can agree to some of the aspects, they can say that some of the aspects do not make sense to our environment, or there can be a debate on that. So this could be an initial trigger where we actually inculcate an environment where people come forward, share their thoughts, and there is some kind of discussion forum where people think of how to make it happen or how is it applicable to our environment, and they understand it in a proper manner. You can also think of having internal or external coaching where some Agile experts would come with you, join you and tell you how to roll it out in a best possible manner. You can also think of having team members undergoing through some kind of certifications. It could be PMI's Agile Certified Practitioner, it could be Certified Scrum Master, it could be Certified Scrum Professional, or any of the other certifications. That will also help the team to understand the methodologies and to understand the true and core part of the framework. The next thing that you will have to do when you plan to roll out Agile is to evaluate and identify tools. And we'll talk more about the tools later, but you will have to identify which tools are we going to use for task management, which tools will be used for project management, what are the tools that we are going to use for continuous integration, what are the tools that we are going to use for our coding or unit testing or code reviews. So we need to identify those tools, and a lot of new tools would come into picture when you roll out to Agile, and you will have to understand what is the development language, the programming language used, and then in relations to that, what tools make sense to your environment. The next is you will have to identify which Agile methodology are you going to use. Are you going to use XP? Are you going to use Scrum or any other methodology? The next, of course, is you need to create an internal external buy-in, because it is not only important that your development team or your QA team is ready to implement Agile, but your senior management also needs to be equally supportive. Your customers also need to be equally supportive. Your Agile is not going to be successful if the customers are not working with you in the equal manner. The next is you need to implement a change management, because shifting to Agile is going to be a big change for many people. You will have to create buy-in, you will have to roll out a lot of change management processes, do a lot of initiatives through which people will be adaptive to this and they will feel comfortable in moving on to Agile. Another thing that you should consider is having an internal Agile Center of Excellence. What this would mean is a set of Agile experts who would monitor the Agile usage across different projects, and they'll try to check, are we following Agile in a correct manner? Are there any gaps? Or are there any loopholes? Or are there any things that are happening which are not supposed to be happening in Agile environment? So there should be some mechanism through which we will be reviewing our implementation. And of course, Agile says that we should be doing continuously inspect and adapt. Inspect how we are implementing Agile and see how we are going to